Hello everyone, welcome back to the review. In today's video we are going to be talking about something really important in Smash that I feel like most people don't talk about, and that is going to be stages. If you don't know right now, the legal stages are Battlefield, Small Battlefield, Final Destination, PS2, Smashville, Town and City, and Hollow Bastion generally, and then sometimes you also have Kalos. You used to have Kalos all the time, but you're starting to phase it out. And then sometimes, very rarely, you have Northern Cave, and very, very rarely, Lilat and Yoshi's Story. So that is basically all the stages that we've really had in Smash Ultimate. Like right at the start, I think we had like a Fire Emblem stage. I forget which one it was. We had Unova at the start as well. And I think right now the way that it is centered is Smash's stage list is not really good. And by good, I mean it doesn't matter unless it really matters. And by that, it's like, okay, let's say like I'm playing Kazuya. If I am a Kazuya player, you guaranteed every single time have to ban FD. You just have to. It doesn't matter what character you're playing. It doesn't matter if your character's good on FD. You should be banning FD every single time because if Kazuya hits you ever, you should die because there's nothing to get in his way, which is a problem. Because then it's like, okay, you have to permanently ban versus this one character, and then you only have one ban left. And it's like, okay, do I ban, I don't know, Town and City because it's like really big, and sometimes the platforms go away to FD. It's like, okay, so I have to ban that. But then let's say Kalos is legal, that's basically just FD with platforms on the side. So right off the gate there, you have to fight Kazuya on a no platform stage, which kind of sucks. And let's say Snake, just like a random character. Snake really likes those like low middle platforms, like PS2 is one of his best stages. So you ban PS2, but then you have to also ban Small Battlefield because it's a big, basically just little PS2. Different for Snake, definitely, but it's smaller PS2 essentially. I guess not smaller, bigger. But then he gets Battlefield for free, and which is his like one of his best stages. So it's like it's this weird thing where it's like, okay, these counter picks, I feel like the bans don't matter a lot, and I think they should. But I also think that counter picks should be counter picks, so we don't go to PS2 every time. I think everyone in the community knows the Coney meme where he really, really wants WarioWare legalized, but I don't think it's that big of a meme. Maybe WarioWare specifically is kind of a meme, but I think we should experiment with getting more stages in there and then getting maybe 3 or even 4 bans, because I think that could be really interesting. Like I think we legalized Northern Cave. Yoshi's is kind of just Battlefield, so not really. Maybe WarioWare. That one's kind of crazy though. But then it's like, okay, then a counterpick is actually a counterpick. Then a counterpick matters like a stage, and I think that's really important. Not like a stage, like a character. And I think that'd be really cool. I can see why some top players don't want it because there's so much you already have to deal with Ultimate with 90 characters. Now you have to know all the setups on every single stage and all this yada yada yada. But I also think that something that could be really intricate and make the game a lot more diverse. Like certain characters, let's say, just for WarioWare's example, let's say Incineroar, you just pick him on WarioWare and you're killing people at 40 every single time, and everyone's dying super early. So if you get gimped, it's not that big of a deal. That makes a character like WarioWare or a stage like WarioWare super, super strong as a counterpick stage, and if you know someone has this Incineroar, you're like, okay, do I want to fight their Incineroar on the stage, or do I want to fight their main on another stage? And it creates this really interesting dynamic that I think could be really, really cool in Smash. Um, Also, I just don't PS2 every single time, and I think honestly, I think it's kind of dumb that there is no DSR. That you can go back to a stage that you just won on over and over, even though people do gentlemen it. I wish they wouldn't. I just think people going back to PS2 every time, it's like it might be your most comfortable stage, but do you know how much better players would be if it's like instead of having like this super super strong comfort pick, if they just had like they played well to their character stages, it could be phenomenal. Let's say I lose on PS2, whatever, and instead of just going back to PS2 because I'm comfortable there, I go to a stage where my character actually excels, where my character does super well, and then I actually maybe win a game instead of just basically going into the same match again with different mentalities. You're actually the point of the counter pick is to be an advantage, and people use the point of the counter pick to go back to PS2, which I don't really think is a great strategy. But that is also just a personal thing, because I'm always like, you should be switching stages basically every time you lose, unless it's like really, really close or you got like janked or something. But even then, would still recommend if you have an advantage given to you, you should take it. Like, why? I don't know why you wouldn't. Um, and that also makes people have to be like know way more about their character. It's like, okay, where's my character good? What stages do they excel on? Because I feel like a lot of people, like obviously most people know, But I feel like people often more know like which stages their character is bad on than their character is good on, because it's like, oh, I'll just ban the stages I'm bad on, and then we'll go to PS2 anyway. Obviously, top players doesn't apply because they know a ton of stuff about tons of characters, especially their own. But I think the average person is just like defaults to PS2, and then when they actually get, they don't know what to ban. Let's say you're playing a Pikachu, for example, and it's like, okay, what do I ban versus Pikachu? Because there's like a couple right answers, like you should be banning Battlefield, you should be banning Town, you should be banning Kalos if it's legal. But then it's like, okay, let's just go back to PS2. But then let's say Pikachu isn't great on PS2. He's great on every stage. PS2 is not Pikachu's best stage, just straight up. So then when the Pikachu actually counterpicks to a different stage, you go, oh no, what have I done? Assuming you even start on PS2, maybe they switch characters. I don't know. It's a hypothetical. But then it's like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing on these different stages. I don't know the layout. I don't know my super easy combos. I don't know how to play around this different platform setup. Like the amount of times I've seen people not know what to do with the top platform on Battlefield, just don't use it ever, is obscene. I've seen whole matches, even at the top level, where the top platform just isn't used and they just play it like it's PS2, which I think is like really not dumb, but it's like it's there, utilize it. I just don't get why. And obviously that's like specific, and again, most of the time it's not like that, but it does happen enough where it's like, okay, this is a problem because I just again, it might not even be honestly. I kind of just want to ban PS2 for one tournament just to see what happens, because I think it would make everything so different. The same people would probably win. A couple placements would definitely change, but I think it would be so cool to see people adapting and playing on a new field, because a lot of people are just playing PS2 for like I'm just gonna make up a number. 80% feels really correct. It might even be a little higher, to be honest. That feels the amount of time people play on PS2. And I think that sucks. I think it'd be really cool if we saw like a lot more diversity. Now, granted, just I mean, I say this every video. This is more from a spectator perspective, of course. I don't play the game enough to really actually care or have like a super strong opinion as a competitor. But I think people would become stronger and better at the game if they were better at more stages. Just like if you want to be better at the game, I would recommend practicing a couple stages besides PS2 if you're only playing PS2, because you might be able to catch people off guard, or you can play to your character's strengths better. And if your best stage is PS2, honestly, just go for it, rock it. And a lot of characters, granted, best stage are PS2, but I also think a lot of people's best stage is so much more PS2 that it's not even their character. It's just like that's the best stage. Like again, Snake is PS2 Snake's best stage? I don't think so. I think it's Battlefield by a significant amount. But a lot of snakes really, really prefer PS2 because it's so comfortable. They don't know how to use the top platform. And I think with upgrading like your stage knowledge, it could be really good. So yeah, that is the main takeaway. Not that we necessarily need new stages, but I think it would be cool. But I also don't want to be like, oh, let's just add new stages, because why the heck not? It'd be funny. Because you know what? It's a competitive game. People want to have things consistent. I totally get that. But I also think that people should learn how to play different stages, because I think just going to PS2, you're limiting yourself as a player. Let me know what you guys think. If you think counting or counter banning stages isn't that important, and going to PS2 is like whatever, like the best players in the world do it, so it doesn't matter. Or do you think it's like, yeah, I think different stages are important, and getting better at all of them could make you better. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to sub, all the yada yada. Support's been really nice lately, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.